Brothers and sisters, set your troubled hearts at rest. Trust in God always. Trust also in me, says Jesus. Today we greet you in the name of Jesus. We welcome you. Wherever we are in this moment, together we seek the way of Jesus. Jesus who says, "Come, for he is the way." Jesus who says, "Come and receive life, for he is the way and the truth." Jesus who says, "Come, receive and respond, for he is the way, the truth, and the life." He invites us to come. The psalmist writes these words: "In you, O Lord, I have taken refuge. Let me never be put to shame. Deliver me in your righteousness. Turn your ear to me. Come quickly to my rescue. Be my rock of refuge, a strong fortress to save me. Since you are my rock and my fortress, for the sake of your name, lead and guide me. Free me from the trap that is set for me, for you are my refuge. Into your hands I commit my spirit. Redeem me, O Lord, the God of truth. For I trust in you. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hands. Deliver me from my enemies and from those who pursue me. Let your face shine on your servant. Save me in your unfailing love. May we pray together. Faithful God, as we meet in your name, we know you hear us, even when we can't find the words to say or pray. Today, we ask, bring us your peace. Be our rock and refuge, that in you we may be strong, and as your face shines upon us, may we together, wherever we are in our scattered lives today, reflect your love for all. Faithful one, faithful God, we sing and worship you. faithful one, so unchanging, ageless one, you're my rock of peace, Lord of all, I depend on you. I call out to you again and again. I call out to you again and again. You are my rock in times of trouble. You lift me up when I fall down. All through the storm, your love is the anchor. My hope is in you alone. You are my rock in times of trouble. You lift me up when I fall down. All through the storm, your love is the anchor. My hope is in you alone.
I want to say good morning to all our marvellous children and young people. I've brought something in my hand today that I found in the car park. Yeah, you can see it. It's a little piece of rock, a little piece of stone. I'd like you to have a little look at it with me. And as you look at it today, I'd like you to think about Jesus, because he's our rock. I'm feeling this rock on the palm of my hands as I stand here. And as I feel it, it feels solid and it feels strong. And as I feel its strength and its solidity, it reminds me that Jesus gives us strength. His love is solid. His love is steadfast for us as children and young people. I'm pressing the rock between my hands. And as I'm doing that, I'm reminding myself that sometimes following Jesus is not always comfortable. It can be hard sometimes. But as I move the rock from palm to palm, it reminds me, wherever we are, children, whatever we do, young people, even in this time of isolation and social distancing, the one who is the rock, who shows us the way, who is the way, he is with us, and his love never fails and is always there for us in social distancing and isolation. Jesus is our solid rock.
Times it's you I see. I put you first, that's all I need. I humble all I am onto you. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. You're the only one. You're the only one, you're the only one that I could live for. You're the only one, you're the only one, you're the only one that I could live for. You are always, always there, every how and everywhere. Your grace abounds so deeply within me. You will never ever change. Yesterday, today, the same. Forever to forever needs no end. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for.
And now we need to get down nice and low. Remember, this time we're going to do You Are the Way, the Truth, and the Life.
And we're going to sing, You Are the Way, the Truth, and the Life. Come on, let me hear you. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight. For you, we're living out for you.
A little bit higher.
You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight. For you, we're living out for you.
Up nice and tall.
You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight. For you, we're living out for you.
Jump in.
You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight. For you, we're living on for you. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for.
Good morning. The Bible reading this morning is taken from John chapter 14, reading from verses 1 to 14, and the title is Jesus, the Way to the Father. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and trust also in me. There is more than enough room in my Father's home. If this were not so, would I have told you that I am going to prepare a place for you? When everything is ready, I will come and get you, so that you will always be with me where I am. And you know the way to where I am going. No, we don't. No, Lord, Thomas said. We have no idea where you are going. So how can we know the way? Jesus told him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me. If you had really known me, you would know who my Father is. From now on, you do know him and have seen him." Philip said, "Lord, show us the Father, and we will be satisfied." Jesus replied, "Have I been with you all this time, Philip, and yet you still don't know who I am? Anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. So why are you asking me to show him to you? Don't you believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? The words I speak are not my own, but my Father who lives in me does his work through me. Just believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me, or at least believe because of the work you have seen me do. I tell you the truth, anyone who believes in me will do the same works I have done, and even greater works. Because I am going to be with the Father, you can ask for anything in my name, and I will do it, so that the Son can bring glory to the Father. Yes, ask me for anything in my name, and I will do it. Amen."
Love divine, all love's excelling, joy of heaven to earth come down, fixing us your humble dwelling, all your faithful mercies crown. Jesus, you are all compassion, pure unbounded love you are. Visit us with your salvation, enter every trembling heart. Breathe, oh breathe your loving spirit into every troubled breast. Let us all in you inherit, let us find the promised rest. Take away the love of sin, Alpha and Omega be, end of faith as its beginning, set our hearts at liberty. Come, Almighty, to deliver, let us all your life receive. Suddenly return and never more your temples leave. We will always bring you blessing, serve you as your hosts above, pray and praise you without ceasing, glory in your perfect love. Finish then your new creation, pure and spotless, ever true. Let us see your great salvation, perfectly restored in you. Changed from glory into glory, till in heaven we take our place, till we cast our crowns before you, lost in wonder, love, and praise.
Set your troubled hearts at rest. Trust in God always. Trust also in me. The words of Jesus. I don't know if any of you can remember your very first job. One of my very first jobs that I remember as a teenager was working as a paper boy. And I would collect the evening newspaper every day, Monday through Saturday. And then on Sunday morning, I would pick up a whole bunch of variety of Sunday titles. And I would deliver these newspapers every day of the week to a set number of people around the area where I lived. And so there I was as a young lad, every day delivering newspapers, and reflecting on it, I realised that every day I was delivering bad news to all these homes, bad news to all these living rooms, bad news to all these families, because our newspapers are usually full of lots of bad news stories. And then to cap it all, after I had delivered bad news every single day of the week to all these homes, I would turn up at their homes on a Friday evening usually, knock on their door, and expect them to pay me for bringing them bad news. And more than that, not only did I expect them to pay me for bringing to them bad news every day of the week, but also to tip me for doing that very same thing, for bringing bad news to their homes. We don't have to look very far, do we? In our neighbourhood, our community, our country, our world, to be alerted to bad news. The first church I had the privilege of serving in was in that lovely country of Northern Ireland, in the town of Lurgan. And when I was there living for those 5 or so years, in the early 80s, I came across a phrase that at that time, those who lived in that community, those who lived in that part of the UK, used to describe the situation their country was in, almost day after day, week after week, month after month, facing the many terrorist challenges and atrocities. They used the phrase, the troubles. The troubles. The troubles, to describe their everyday experience of life. And as we look around us this morning, we don't have to gaze very far to sense around us, both near and far, there are troubles. In a different decade that many of you know, a different era, a group called the Fortunes, some of you smiling who might remember such a group called the Fortunes sang a song. They sang a song about a relationship that was coming to an end. They sang a song about love that was lost, about love that was now absent. And the song included these lyrics: I see that worried look upon your face. You've got your troubles, I've got mine. I see that worried look upon your face. You've got your troubles, I've got mine. And perhaps as we look across the fence, look across the street, look across the town, look across the country, look across our globe, we can see the worried look upon the faces of those who are part of our human family. And we realise they've got their troubles, we've got ours. And maybe in this time, in this moment, all of us are aware that we share together in one particular trouble, the pandemic of the coronavirus. In these verses that Cheryl so beautifully read for us today, it's as if Jesus himself looks into the face of his friends and followers and can see in their faces a worried look. A worried look upon their faces. Troubles are what they were experiencing I want to talk about the kind of troubles they were experiencing in a moment. But Jesus himself had said, in this world you will have troubles. And of course, we know they come in all shapes and sizes. And even when you think you've seen them all, along comes a pandemic. But often the trouble that beats us, or the trouble that breaks us, may not be the big pandemic. It could just be one thing too many. One thing that just takes us over the edge. On the 8th of May, we commemorated VE Day, Victory in Europe, the 8th of May. During the time of the national effort, during those war years, people did many things to encourage each other and build that sense of we're in this together, that sense of camaraderie. Sometimes they sang songs. You'll be glad to know I'm not going to sing you a song this morning. But one of the songs that came out of that period had this refrain: pack up your troubles and your old kit bag and smile, smile, smile. The person who wrote the song sadly took his own life. Perhaps he discovered that no matter how big the kit bag is, sometimes it's not big enough to carry our troubles. Troubles can get to us. The hassles of life. We find when they get to us that we don't have those inner resources to deal with them. We don't have the defensive capability to handle them or manage them by ourselves. You've got your troubles. I've got mine. Jesus looks into the faces of his friends and followers just before he says these words, and I think I can see him seeing the worried look upon their faces. The context of the words that we read and heard this morning come at dinner. They're sharing dinner together. They're sharing the evening together. And as they sit down to have the meal, that mannerly thing of having the feet washed hasn't taken place. And so Jesus gets up and he goes and washes everyone's feet. And of course, they're getting a little bit, Lord, you shouldn't be doing that, particularly Peter. That sense of uneasiness, Jesus doing what the servant should be doing. And in verse 21 of chapter 13, as Jesus begins to share with his friends and followers, after serving them in this way around the meal table, it says of Jesus, Jesus himself was troubled in his spirit. Maybe you're listening today and you're troubled in your spirit. And then Jesus carries on this conversation with his friends around the table, and Jesus hits them with a bombshell. One of you is going to betray me. Imagine sat at dinner with Jesus and he says those words. One of you is going to betray me. And then Jesus speaks to them as he further converses with them that he's going to go away, he's going to disappear, he's going off scene. And he says words that they can't understand that's pointing to his actual death. And still as they enjoy the meal and the friendship of the table together, and Peter, like being their public spokesman, declaring he'd go all the way for Jesus, hears these words: before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. Another bombshell. You're going to disown me. And it's in that context, with all these conversations and these confusions going through their hearts and minds as he looks at their worried face, that he says to them, set your troubled hearts at rest. Trust in God always. Trust also in me. At the moment, amongst the many situations that trouble our hearts, that we feel, is perhaps that sense of isolation, that sense of social distance that we've never had to practice in our lives before. But because of the virus and looking after each other and keeping each other safe, we are. We find ourselves perhaps isolated or socially distant from people we love and care for, family, friends, familiar things. Things that are important to us are at this time perhaps missing in our day-to-day life experience. There is a distance. The Bible reminds us that Jesus is touched with the feelings of our infirmities. In other words, he understands what it's like for you and for me to be in that place of isolation and social distance. Because we remember that he himself became fully like us, with us, as one of us. He knows our human experience in its full range, in its full gamut. He came away from his home of heaven, isolated himself from the glory of that place, distancing himself from that place where he was worshipped in glory, and going all the way to that most painful place of isolation, an extreme distance, where he gives his life on the cross and carries the can for all of us, bearing our sins in his own body on the tree. And we hear his cry of deep isolation, my God, why have you forsaken me? So he understands the place of isolation completely, the place of social distance fully. So much so that in that sense of heart trouble, he can walk with us through that space and place of isolation and social distancing. And he can enable us to get to the other side of that valley of isolation and social distance, by remaining as only he can at this time, so very close to us. Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you, says the Lord. And so we say with confidence, God is our helper. In that troubled space, because of the things Jesus said that caused them confusion, they were troubled. Jesus speaks right to them. And this morning, or whenever you're listening to this, Jesus speaks to you. Set your troubled heart at rest. Trust in God always, even through this pandemic experience. Trust also in me. For where we are, he comes to us. And of course, this passage is often shared at funerals. We often hear it at funerals, but it's not just for funerals, it's for us. But it's also for that time of grief and pain and sadness and loss. Because there is that promise of a place he makes ready for us. A place where there will be no more troubles. No more crying, no more sorrow, no more pain, no more coronavirus, no more pandemic, for the old order of things will have passed away, and everything will have become new. But this morning, in the midst of it all, He invites you, trust in me, rest in me, know that I will be with you all the way through. Set your troubled hearts at rest. Trust in God always. Trust also in me, says Jesus. Let us pray. Would you join me as we pray? Set your troubled hearts at rest. Trust in God always. Trust also in me, says Jesus. Gracious God, you are the rock of our lives. Your strength sustains us. Your power delivers us. Your mercy brings forgiveness to us. Our whole lives are in your hands. In your hands we are held, sustained, sheltered. And into your hands we bring those we carry on our hearts, those who are fragile, those who are struggling, those who are in difficulty or distress. We remember our nearest and our dearest, our kith and our kin, and beyond that to those who serve us in supporting life for the common good all around us, in our hospitals and supermarkets and care homes, driving delivery vehicles all around the world. We place them in your hands. Good, gracious, merciful, loving Father. And we give to you the glory and honour and majesty and worship, all in the name of your Son, Jesus, our Redeemer, who gave us a pattern for prayer, that we share wherever we are in this moment, as we say to you from our hearts, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. And all God's people said, Amen.
As our burdens grow greater, He sends us more strength as our labors increase. To added afflictions He offers more mercy. To multiply trials He multiplies peace. When we have exhausted our store of endurance, when our strength has failed and the day is half done, when we've reached the end of our earthly resources, forgiving is only begun. Our Father's forgiving is only begun. So lean hard, lean on the everlasting arms. Lean hard, lean on the everlasting arms. Lean on the everlasting arms. His love has no limits, His grace has no measure, His power has no boundary that's known unto men. For out of His infinite riches in Jesus, He giveth and giveth and giveth again. He giveth and giveth and giveth again. So lean hard, lean on the everlasting arms. Lean hard, lean on the everlasting arms. Lean on the everlasting arms. You lead me beside still waters. Your goodness restores my soul. I know that you'll never leave me. I know that you won't let go. You lead me beside still waters. Your goodness restores my soul. I know that you'll never leave me. I know that you won't let go. So lean hard, lean on the everlasting arms. Lean hard, lean on the everlasting arms. Lean on the everlasting arms. Lean on the everlasting arms. Your mercy flows like a river. Your mercy flows like a river. Your mercy flows like a river on us. Your mercy flows like a river. Your mercy flows like a river. Your mercy like a river, your mercy flows like a river, your mercy flows like a river on us. How I need your mercy, your mercy flows like a river, your mercy flows like a river, your mercy flows like a river on us. Nothing to prove for your mercy flows like a river, your mercy flows like a river, your mercy flows like a river on us.
And those wonderful words, lean hard in these times. Lean hard on his everlasting arms, for his mercy forever flows like a river on us. And so may God bless you, guide you and direct you. May God bless you and give you strength and the assurance of his unfailing love. May God bless you and fill your life with his presence this day and forevermore. We pray in his name. Amen.